It's Danielle, aka Danny Gossip Girl. I've got the scoop on Bravo and Blinds. Let's go. When the stars come out to play, you know where to stay. Tune into the buzz, it's the talk of the day. From Bravo shows to the latest celeb spree, we've got the tea, come sip it with me. Danny Gossip Girl, Pop Culture Exposé. We're spilling all the secrets every single day. From Hollywood lights to the gossip blinds, catch the news, don't get left behind.
Today we're diving into the story of Virginia Giuffre, a young woman whose bravery changed the course of history. But beyond the headlines, there's a deeper truth, a truth revealed through survivors, researchers, journalists, and independent investigators like myself who worked to map the vast, tangled network behind Jeffrey Epstein's crimes. This is Virginia's story and how her voice exposed one of the most darkest webs of power the world has ever seen. Virginia Roberts Giuffre's story begins in troubled waters. Born in 1983 in Sacramento, California, and raised largely in foster care and group homes, Virginia faced instability, loneliness, and vulnerability from a very young age. By her mid-teens, she had moved to Palm Beach, Florida, a place where opportunity and predation had lived side by side. And it's there, working at Donald Trump's Mar-a-Lago club as a locker room attendant at just 16 years old, that her life would change forever. At Mar-a-Lago, Virginia was approached by Ghislaine Maxwell, the so-called socialite who played a far darker role behind closed doors. Ghislaine promised Virginia the opportunity of a lifetime, professional massages for a wealthy benefactor who could help change her life. Instead, she was groomed and trafficked into the inner circle of Jeffrey Epstein, a man who was at the heart of an international sex trafficking empire. Virginia was flown across the globe, introduced to the most powerful men and in the world, and forced into unimaginable circumstances. In her own words, it was a pyramid scheme of abuse. Epstein, Maxwell, and others used gifts, threats, and promises of education to keep her trapped in silence, a common theme in the Epstein world. Virginia wasn't just trafficked to Epstein himself. She bravely named Prince Andrew, Alan Dershowitz, Bill Richardson, Glenn Dubin, Marvin Minsky, and many others, some of the most powerful figures in politics, business, and science, as participants in her exploitations. Her claims were repeatedly dismissed by media outlets, by courts, by institutions desperate to protect the powerful. Yet, despite the immense forces against her, Virginia refused to be silent. In 2015, through court filings and sworn affidavits, she began naming names. ABC News notoriously buried her story, a revelation that only surfaced years later.
I've had the story for 3 years. I've had this interview with Virginia Roberts. We would not put it on the air. First of all, I was told, who's Jeffrey Epstein? No one knows who that is. This is a stupid story.
After insiders leaked footage of an anchor admitting they had it all, but were pressured to drop it, a common theme I found when working with journalists on the Epstein case, whether or not in the States or abroad, Virginia knew the dangers she faced. Epstein often bragged to her that he owned the police. Her allegations weren't just about abuse. They revealed the machinery of blackmail, political influence, and financial corruption behind Epstein's empire. In 2002, Virginia made a daring move. She escaped while on a trip to Thailand and never returned to Epstein's world. That is also where she would later meet her husband, an Australian martial arts trainer. But freedom didn't mean safety, not yet. For years she lived in fear. She doubted She was doubted by the public, attacked by lawyers and media insiders trying to discredit her. She still fought back. She filed lawsuits, she gave interviews, and she helped expose a global criminal network operating in plain sight. Her courage inspired... Be quiet, Google. Her courage inspired other victims to come forward
to Jeffrey's home later that day to what I thought was to interview with him, without really a lot of question, actually being quite excited, because I thought, well, if I was so successful here with Ghislaine, which he has really made me believe that I have been, now I get the opportunity to go complete this, like a second round of the interview. And that was really, I walked myself into tragedy. I had no idea. I actually should, and I will reframe that. I didn't walk myself into tragedy. I was lured there. I was coaxed there, coerced there, under false and fraudulent, conditions and expectations. Where I stand,
domino effect that would lead to Epstein's 2019 arrest and his highly suspicious death just weeks later. As Virginia was speaking out, researchers and investigators around the world began connecting the dots, including myself, working with independent sources, journalists, and even Crazy Days and Nights CDAN founder Enty Lawyer. I helped create one of the most detailed Epstein Network Maps ever compiled. This living document laid bare the vast ecosystem behind Epstein: politicians, billionaires, celebrities, models, scientists, media moguls. There's so much going on from royalty, and more than just Epstein, and showed how Ghislaine Maxwell, Jean-Luc Brunel, Les Wexner, and countless others enabled or benefited from the system. It documented the grooming pipelines, the business investments, and the shadowy transactions that made Epstein powerful and protected him for decades. Virginia Giuffre's name was at the center, the whistleblower whose testimony became the foundation for exposing these hidden connections. Without her, this map and much of the truth might have been remained buried forever. In 2021, Virginia achieved a major victory. She reached a settlement with Prince Andrew, a lawsuit alleging sexual abuse. Though no admission of guilt was made, the world understood the weight of what happened. Virginia ran Speak Out, Act, Reclaim, titled SOAR, an organization supporting survivors of sexual abuse and human trafficking. She was focused to advocate fiercely for victims around the world, pushing for legal reforms and greater accountability. We thought her battle wasn't over, as she remained a symbol of resilience, truth, and justice. But sadly seems the stresses of life had gotten to her. With everything that had gone down with Epstein, her marriage in shambles, with an impending divorce from alleged abuse of husband, allegedly, a custody battle of her 3 kids who were her life. At the end of March or early April, she said she was in a crazy bus collision and only had a matter of days to live. This sadly, on April 25th, 2025, she allegedly taken her own life. Her family says it is with utterly broken hearts that we announce the Virginia passed last night at her farm in Western Australia. She lost her life to suicide after being a long victim of sexual abuse and sex trafficking. Virginia was a fierce warrior in fight against sexual abuse and sex trafficking. She was a light that lifted so many survivors. Despite all of the adversity she faced in her life, she shined so. Virginia Giuffre showed the world that no matter how powerful the enemy, the truth has a way of fighting back. Her voice, along with the tireless work of survivors, journalists, and independent researchers like myself, ripped away the carefully constructed lies that protected the elite. Virginia didn't break her own chain. She exposed the hidden hands holding the chains of many. And because of her, a new generation dares to believe that no one, not even billionaires and princes, is above justice.
Tune into the buzz, it's the talk of the day. From Bravo shows to the latest celeb spree, we've got the tea, come sip it with me. Danny Gossip, Pop Culture Exposé, we're spilling all the secrets every single